Proverbs 10. The Proverbs of Solomon. A wise son maketh a glad father, but a foolish son is the heaviness of his mother. Treasures of wickedness profit nothing, but righteousness delivereth from death. The Lord will not suffer the soul of the righteous to famish, but he casteth away the substance of the wicked. He becometh poor that dealeth with a slack hand, but the hand of the diligent maketh rich. He that gathereth in summer is a wise son, but he that sleepeth in harvest is a son that causeth shame. Blessings are upon the head of the just, but violence covereth the mouth of the wicked. The memory of the just is blessed, but the name of the wicked shall rot. The wise in heart will receive commandments, but a prating fool shall fall. He that walketh uprightly walketh surely, but he that perverteth his ways shall be known. He that winketh with the eye causeth sorrow, but a prating fool shall fall. The mouth of a righteous man is a well of life, but violence covereth the mouth of the wicked. Hatred stirreth up strifes, but love covereth all sins. In the lips of him that hath understanding wisdom is found, but a rod is for the back of him that is void of understanding. Wise men lay up knowledge, but the mouth of the foolish is near destruction. The rich man's wealth is his strong city. The destruction of the poor is their poverty. The labor of the righteous tendeth to life, the fruit of the wicked to sin. He is in the way of life that keepeth instruction, but he that refuseth reproof erreth. He that hideth hatred with lying lips, and he that uttereth a slander, is a fool. In the multitude of words there wanteth not sin, but he that refraineth his lips is wise. The tongue of the just is as choice silver, the heart of the wicked is little worth. The lips of the righteous feed many, the fools die for want of wisdom. The blessing of the Lord, it maketh rich, and he addeth no sorrow with it. It is as sport to a fool to do mischief, but a man of understanding hath wisdom. The fear of the wicked it shall come upon him, but the desire of the righteous shall be granted. As the whirlwind passeth, so is the wicked no more, but the righteous is an everlasting foundation. As vinegar to the teeth, and as smoke to the eyes, so is the sluggard to them that send him. The fear of the Lord prolongeth days, but the years of the wicked shall be shortened. The hope of the righteous shall be gladness, but the expectation of the wicked shall perish. The way of the Lord is strength to the upright, but destruction shall be to the workers of iniquity. The righteous shall never be removed, but the wicked shall not inhabit the earth. The mouth of the just bringeth forth wisdom, but the froward tongue shall be cut out. The lips of the righteous know what is acceptable, but the mouth of the wicked speaketh frowardness.
Good evening. It's Tuesday, September 23rd, 2014. This is your host, Mike Callahan, and welcome to the Watchman News. Talk about a mouthful. I look at that and I relate it to survival. I relate it to preparing. I relate it to my thoughts that the best way that we can prepare other than our faith is our knowledge. Because those that are going around, they're not trying to learn more knowledgeable ways about doing things or how things work or how to do things without the technology, without all the comforts that we have today, the availability of things. Their life is going to be shortened. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. To me, that chapter says a lot. A lot. Proverbs 10. A lot of good lessons in the Bible. You don't even have to be, as I said yesterday, you don't even have to be a believer. Just follow the words. Understand the point that's trying to be made. Too often, judgment is passed. By people that the last thing they want is to be judged. So just do what's right in your heart. Do what's right for your loved ones. Do what's right for God. You can't go wrong with that. No matter what happens, you can't go wrong. If you fail, it's because other people failed you, not because you failed yourself. Not because you failed the Creator. Because society failed you. Anyway, we got a lot of news for you tonight. I do have one link that is not down in the about. Oh, well, I guess we should do suspicious observers first, huh? And I don't even have it up. That's why I forgot I didn't even have it up there. But let's go ahead and do suspicious observers. Get that out of the way. And I will go from there. Sounds like a plan to me, huh? Alright, and I do know that link is down in the About tab for suspicious observers, as usual. I just forgot to put it up in my little folder. 1,000,001 bookmarks. Here, let me get rid of this so it don't start a second video. Okay, enjoy. See you in 5 minutes.
Good morning, folks. I have to give a shout out to Skyview. We were in Nampa, Idaho yesterday for a terrific event. They came out during lunch. Teachers gave up their class time to let kids see sunspots and ask questions. Apparently some of them show the news in their classrooms. They got involved as well. Everyone did. The students were intelligent, kind, and a lot of them had their eyes open. However, my pups were unquestionably the stars of the show. Thank you, guys. You rock, and happy homecoming. Fade to black. We got 2 plasma filaments twisting in towards Earth. One of them is made up of those solar tornadoes from days ago. Both are eruption concerns. Something I missed yesterday as we came out of the coronal hole stream was that it was a solar sector boundary crossing, causing perturbations in the high energy proton flux and the low, also allowing a brief spike of plasma penetration into our atmosphere. The flaring was low, but trying to creep upwards. We've still got the big umbras on the south, with still only one potential magnetic mixing spot on the left. Also got some new spots to the north, so much for that peak I thought we hit yesterday. Right, then left, boom, boom. We had 2 clear CMEs on Soho Lasco yesterday, but they were both on the back side. That is some big action back there. So we saw that the northern coronal hole destabilized. What about the current hole cresting Earth-facing position now? ISWA shows moderate to strong force, with the strongest appearing to align with our September 24th position tomorrow. These have been shifting around quite a bit. A bit of perspective, looking back to Hurricane Odile, I recommend the latest video and explanation from the GPM, as they were able to use their advanced detection monitors to break down the storm in detail. Pretty good article out of the NRAO. Sibling stars in youth. They think they see evidence of the outward system winds already, but note that it may just be the denser star cannibalizing the gases and dust. Folks, I declare the floodgates open. In 2011, they said I was a little crazy for worrying about Fukushima. Now they fearmonger over steam. The real danger is already among us, and I hope this paper is followed by hundreds more radiation studies regarding the Japan disaster. Harvard-Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics has declared Pluto to be a planet again, and there was much rejoicing. Yay! Kicking to RSOE, where that flood alert we posted days ago for East India and the neighboring countries bore out with rain-triggered landslides. Much luck to you folks. Flooding continues in the southwest. This is from New Mexico. We can also shoot all the way across up to Nova Scotia, where the before and after images say quite a lot. Flooding has subsided, but the road damage is significant. Feng Wang remnants have crossed Shanghai, and a new typhoon is forming next to Guam. It's come across the Pacific. We expect development in the Far East waters here, and this is only not named because it's not in the tropics. Northwest rainmaker for days to come. We note the convergence crossing Florida here, but more importantly, the northern flow of heat and moisture, up and up. A little bit of a U-shaped watch zone tonight for the storms. Also take note that the high pressure aids the surrounding lows in shifting the temperatures. It's warmer in parts of northernmost Canada than it is in parts of the Gulf states. That's asinine. Big low shown in purple in Eastern Europe. Also note the curve back to the wind, back west, which actually connects back across the Mediterranean to that low. Not hard to find tonight's thunderstorms here. Also got the fast-moving low near south-central Australia with the high-pressure system to the east clearing most of the way. Simple as can be. We've got shots of our star to close at 6:35 a.m. Eastern Time, 4:35 a.m. Mountain Time as the mobile observatory continues east across the country. Eyes open, no fear. Be safe, everyone.
And thanks to Ben Davison for his report. Nice to see him out and about with the mobile observatory. Link's down in the About tab. I think I already mentioned that. One story that I'll throw out there now before I even go ahead and get started with my links is, of course, I'm sure you all know that we started our bombing and whatnot last night in Syria. And I'm sure everybody knows about it so far or already, so I really can't see, it's not breaking news. But I think any of those with eyes to see and ears to hear probably know where this is leading. We'll be in Iran next if we get a chance to make it that far. We'll see. I mean, it's a little crazy. It's absurd. It really is absurd. I knew a year ago when the U.S. government was accusing the Syrian government of using chemical weapons. I knew that they would be back with something else, some other reason to be able to get their foot in the door, to be able to bomb and attack in that country. We'll just see how it plays out. I really don't think it's going to play out so well for us. We'll see. We'll see. But I see bad news all the way around. I really do. So let's get on with the news. Again, this is a link I don't have down in the About tab. I ran across this just moments ago. Over 700 Texas babies and workers exposed to deadly disease. And this is what my fear was with the open border. It's not so much about people coming in illegally and all that, although that's a concern too. But it's about what they could bring with them whether it be diseases or whether it be terrorism or whatever the case may be. So anyway,
check in with Miranda Lee for a look at what's happening now. Good morning, Miranda.
Good morning, Mike. A lot of terrified parents in El Paso this morning. It looks like what could be a potentially deadly situation. They've just found out that more than 700 infants and 40 healthcare workers have been exposed to tuberculosis. It's at a hospital there in El Paso. Hospital workers discovered that an employee had been coming into work with an active case of TB. Texas Department of State Health Services says this is one of the largest exposure investigations that they've ever been involved with. Mike, Rachel, officials aren't saying yet whether anyone exposed to the disease has tested positive.
All right, thank you, Miranda, for the latest there out of El Paso. Well, another.
and I read another news report. It might be in here. No, I read another news report where that worker, they suspect anyway, that worker picked up TB from a refugee. Let's yeah. Anyway, let's get on with the news before I say something I probably shouldn't. No, again, it's not about. It's about responsibility. It's about knowing who is here, knowing what is here. It's about following the law. You know, there's a lot of bogus laws out there, but immigration laws are not part of the bogus laws. Although I personally know somebody that got caught up, and I believe is still caught up. I forget how many years. It's probably 13 years or so now. I don't know if he's ever gotten everything all straightened out or not, but hell of a good man. And just nightmare after nightmare trying to get his citizenship, and I don't get it. I really don't understand it. I mean, this guy should be a prized citizen of this country, and he's having so much trouble, and yet others do virtually nothing, and they're handed their citizenship. That just, I don't know. Maybe it's, a difference in where they're from, or which I don't know. I don't understand. Anyway, I normally don't promote mainstream ideas, mainstream views, or anything else. And I saw this video before, and I ran across it again. And I thought, I'm going to go ahead and play it on the show. I agree with about 90% of what she has to say in this video. But one thing you have to watch, and I'm going to point that out here, is in mainstream news, is you'll get like 90% of the truth, and then or 80% of the truth, and then the rest to be just a bunch of BS. And you have to be able to define between the two. And again, I agree with about 90% or so of what she has to say here, but I'll point out the errors in what she's saying. And it's typical. You can usually always find them at the end. They kind of, when they start to summarize their statement or their report, when they do the summary of it towards the end, usually that's when they'll slip in the stuff that's either not so true or just opinion without any fact or whatever. So I'll play the video and I'll let you know when we get to one of those parts. But I think for the most part, she does a decent job here.
Hello and welcome to Justice. I'm Judge Jeanine Pirro. Thanks for being with us tonight. Tonight, America faces the single biggest threat in her more than 200-year history, worse than what we faced in World War I, World War II, the attack on Pearl Harbor, and Al-Qaeda on 9/11. I'm telling you, ISIS, if not already on American soil, will be here. They are coming. And whether they come as a legion or lone wolves, the damage will be painful and it will be extensive. It will happen here on our soil. You're fortunate that you live in a country virtually untouched by war, while in other parts of the world, it's their daily fare. Except for military families, the horrors that we watch on the news could just as well be a world away. But now, this is close. The simple truth, we are not prepared, and certainly not ready. Lone wolves arrested in Washington State, Rochester, New York, and Colorado. I've been telling you for months that you need to be afraid.
Now, you know me. Most of the time, I'm fearless. I've spent my life fighting, investigating, prosecuting, and sentencing the worst of the worst. But tonight, I'm worried. You may not know where places like Baghdad, Aleppo, Tehran, or Fallujah are. But if you don't think that what happens there matters to you, you're wrong. And I don't care if you live in Beaumont, Texas, New York City, or Anaconda, Montana. You need to be afraid.
And what we need to do.
My resolution? Airstrikes. Bomb them. Bomb them, keep bombing them, bomb them again and again. And I don't care how long it takes. Just take out ISIS, take out their convoys, and take out those troops.
You may have thought it was good TV and entertaining. But you now know it's not a joke. 2 Americans beheaded by an English-speaking barbarian, a third a Brit, while a fourth is lined up for the most brutal, savage, end-of-life experience imaginable.
Okay, so right there we're starting to interject with things that may not quite be so true. And by the way, her statements about bomb them and all that, that's part of what's got us in this situation. So let's continue.
These are not amateurs. They are experts at the systematic, pervasive torture, mass killings, rape, public crucifixions, beheadings, some even videotaped and used as a propaganda tool to entice those who believe in evil and want to impose hell on the rest of us under the guise of their God.
Wait a minute here. Okay, but it's okay, right, for us to go over into a foreign land and spread democracy with 500-pound bombs and radioactive tip bullets, and that's okay because we're democracy. Huh. Interesting. No, I'm not saying anybody should, it's fascinating to me. We can arm, we can train people to destabilize a country and then turn around and make them the boogeyman because that's what was done. And attach so many things to it. It's just amazing. And then have people like Obama stand up and try and pull away those attachments at the same time. It's to confuse people. Sorry, I don't normally stutter, but it's to confuse people. It's to get everybody's head so, to where they don't understand what's going on. And unfortunately, in American society, when somebody doesn't understand something, they typically just push it to the side and go on with their next thought, which is usually a freaking ball game of some kind or a TV show or whatever, something mindless, so that they don't have to actually use critical thought in what's being said. But let's go ahead and continue. It's amazing to me how well orchestrated they use mainstream media to do this, to achieve this.
The ISIS terror group owns oil fields. They have a corporate structure. And they bring in $3 million a day selling oil. They leverage technology to glorify and recruit more jihadists. All while the world watches while we dither and call them a JV team. But like a lion waiting to attack, they watch their prey. They analyze us. They read us. Do we act when Americans are in danger? Do we even react? Almost 2 years to arrest the Benghazi ringleader. They know our vulnerabilities and strengths. At times, they are one and the same. We are a free and open society with risks inherent in each. They know the border is not only open, they know they'll be welcomed with no papers at all. And this week's arrests in Australia magnify the global reach of ISIS, where random kidnappings and public beheadings were planned, all linked to ISIS.
What I want to know is, when are we going to start arresting people in the U.S. government for war crimes? That's what I want to know. When we start getting those answers and start seeing that happen, then maybe we can continue on with the rest of the world. Maybe. But we need to clean up our own yard first. And we've got a line of presidents and their administrations, and it's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. And you notice how she points out both 9/11 and Benghazi, but yet mainstream media still fails to really tell the truth, or what, as much as the truth as that we can gather. You know, I mean, come on. The World Trade Center, without a doubt, was controlled demolitions. There's no doubt about that. Anybody that knows anything about physics, knows anything about demolitions, will tell you that was a controlled demolition. Point blank. It is a total, and I do mean a total, impossibility for both of those towers to fall within their footprint. Okay, so maybe a freak accident could happen or something, and one building might do it, but two, not going to happen. It's not in any way on this planet physically possible that two enormous skyscrapers are going to fall into their own footprint on their own. It is also impossible in any way, shape, or form to get jet fuel to burn hot enough to melt steel. It's a fact. Those are facts. How come she's not stating those facts?
Their intent was to actually behead random members of the public. You, anyone. And they call these demonstration killings designed to shock and horrify.
Oh, you mean like dumping allegedly bin Laden's body into the ocean? Or you mean like the public televised, I think it was no, it wasn't televised, but the hanging, maybe it wasn't public, I don't know, but the hanging of Hussein. Really? You know, and I'm not defending these people, don't get me, you know, I'm not defending them, I'm not, you know, I'm just comparing that they put it out there that it's okay for us to do something, but it's not okay for somebody else to do something. And that's what's wrong with this country. You know, you've got a country full of people running around thinking that they're better than everybody else, and that they should have more rights than everybody else. That's why I'm against all these groups, you know. I mean, I'm against them. I think it's crazy. These quote-unquote special interest groups, equality groups, because they're not looking for equality, they're looking for above equal. Every single time. Every single time. There was somebody who did an interview from the climate march, and I caught this interview on the internet, and they're asking one of the people, you know, would you give up your iPhone? Would you give up your car to better, you know, to better the world? And the guy absolutely would not do it. Absolutely would not do it. But see, everybody else is supposed to give up. And I don't care whether you're liberal, whether you're conservative, whether you're independent, they all are this way. This is a error in the human mind. It's an Achilles heel. And our government is playing it off in us very, very well. You know, I don't expect, I live a pretty boring life. I don't expect other people to sit there and research and research and research. I do expect people to be a little more aware of what's going on, but I definitely don't expect people to live my life, and I don't think I'm better than anybody else for the life I live. But I do think it's a little wiser to be aware of what's going on in the world, but that doesn't make me better. Not by any means. Not by any means. It's crazy. Let's go ahead, though.
Yes, everything I've been telling you for months is accurate. You need to think September 11, 2001. You need to remember what it felt like then. Don't sit there and think the government has you covered. Hell, the White House itself and its perimeter were penetrated twice in the last 24 hours. And think Boston, as in Boston bombers. 2 brothers, one a teen. You're on asylum as victims of another country. We do everything for them.
And yet another thing, a third thing that's brought up that was obviously set up by the government. I mean, just by facts, video evidence, all kinds of stuff.
Another country calls to tell us not once but twice that they're a terrorist. Our FBI investigates and concludes that they're not. And when the older brother goes back and forth to the country from which he sought asylum, he's not stopped upon his return to the U.S. by ICE or Homeland Security. These 2 brothers had the whole city of Boston on lockdown with a couple of pressure cookers. FBI, state police, local police, ATF, all looking for one team. Do you think anyone would be able to respond to your needs in such a situation?
See, and she makes one good point, and then she misleads. Well, she misled first, and then she makes a good point. The government cannot help you. If something major happens in this country, you have to rely on yourself and your loved ones or a group that you have prearranged or whatever the case may be. You're going to be on your own. It's that simple. It is that simple. The misleading part about that statement is that, again, that was a trial run. That was a practice. That was to see the temperature on what people would, how they would respond to these door-to-door searches, to this martial law. That's what it was for. It was an experiment. It really was. But see, she didn't say that. You know, this woman's supposed to be such a rebel against, Obama and his administration, but she's not rebellious enough to be totally honest with you.
Not a chance. No one is taking this seriously enough. If our government were listening, our borders would be closed. If our government were listening, we'd be bombing ISIS nonstop. And if they were listening, our president would be following the advice of the military experts united on the issue of boots on the ground. But instead, our president thinks he knows more than the military experts. A disagreement highlighted this week and virtually unseen in American history. And if our government were listening, we would never have gotten out of Iraq the way that we did, with the consequences that George Bush predicted and even Leon Panetta said was a mistake. And if the government were listening, they would raise the terror threat level. When people are willing to commit war crimes on camera, they are not afraid of us. And if only you were listening this time, I'm telling you to batten down the hatches.
And the crazy thing is, we can stop it there. You know, there's a lot of stupid people out there. There's a lot of people that are recording their own crimes and stuff like that. Of course, you see the people that log on to Facebook. They break into somebody's home and log on to Facebook on their computer or the person's home's computer. People are people, and it's just frustrating to see how mainstream media intertwines truth and fiction to get you to accept false things, because they get you to commit in tribalism, to be rooting for something. So, it's like, there's no saying you have to accept the good with the bad, and that's bogus. No, you don't. No, you don't. You can accept the good and reject the bad. And everything in every situation with everyone. You can. It doesn't mean that you're going to change bad. It doesn't mean you're going to stop bad. But you can make it known that it's bad. Period. That's what's important. But we're too busy rooting on our favorite team. Sometimes I wonder if I was born in the wrong time period. But I wasn't. I was born in the right time period. I really do. I think that the world or anything like that. So we got a few stories. That took me quite a bit longer than I thought. So we got a few stories, and they're all going to be police related. The next few stories, and it's not that I go out looking for these. These just came to me. That just like this. I mean, Florida deputies gun man down as his son tries to explain that he's deaf. A 52-year-old father and husband of 30 years was shot and killed by a Volusia County Sheriff's deputy Saturday afternoon. Edward Miller and his son Edward Jr. went to Friars Towing Friday to settle a dispute about a towed vehicle. And according to the police report, Doris Podgorski Benedicts, 44, an employee of Friars, reported to Daytona police officers that the elder Miller was being rude and yelling at her. The elder Miller said he may have been yelling due to him being hard of hearing. However, in no way was he trying to be rude. Employee Eric Stewart, 51, told Benedicts that the younger Miller had a gun holstered on his right side hip. Ooh, scary. Benedicts then called for police assistance out of fear for their safety, according to the report. If you're really that afraid, why don't you get a concealed carry permit? Seriously. If they had bad intentions, the police wouldn't even have a chance to get there. But you can't get that through the minds of people these days. Makes no sense. Makes no sense. Officers determined that younger Miller had an up-to-date concealed weapons license to carry the gun, and it was returned to him. Why was it ever taken? I thought we were innocent until proven guilty. I don't get this country. I don't. It's the people won't stand up for anything anymore, and we need to do it as a group. Instead of standing up for this football team or this baseball team or this TV show, or what about for humans? What about for life? Why don't we stand up for something that means something? It's frustrating. It really is. The report goes on to state that the Millers were told that if they come back with the correct amount of money, their vehicle would be returned to them. When the father and son returned Saturday with the correct amount of money to claim their vehicle, the dispute resumed. Two deputies happened to be near the scene on an unrelated matter. Police say Deputy Joel Hernandez and another unnamed deputy heard yelling coming from the front of Friars and walked around the building to investigate. What happened next isn't exactly clear, as the family of the deceased, Edward P. Miller, were instructed by the Florida Department of Law Enforcement not to release any information about the incident. Yesterday, they hid me from cameras, Edward Miller said. They didn't want any information about what happened out. Gotta love the transparency. Gary Davidson, a spokesman for the Sheriff's Department, said while the specific sequence of events isn't being released at this time due to the ongoing investigation, during the encounter, Hernandez perceived a threat and fired his duty weapon, striking and killing the man. Miller's son tried to explain to the deputies that his father was deaf. I kept telling them that he can't hear them, said Miller. I kept telling them he can't understand them. According to WESH-TV, witnesses said that Miller was shot while sitting inside an SUV and that the windows were rolled up when the deputy opened fire. 6 shots were fired, hitting him in the head, neck, and body. And you can go on, the link's down there. It's not going to stop until it gets stopped. Here's the problem. There's a lot of good police out there. There's a fair amount of bad ones out there. Here's the problem. They're all more or less trained to be bad at this point. They really are. They're trained to shoot first, ask questions later, because they should be in fear for their life in every traffic stop, in every situation. And that is not the case. That's not the case. It's a high-risk job. You cannot change that. You can't. You have to accept it. When you go through the training, when you fill out your application for whatever police department, you have to accept the fact that there might be a day that you don't go home. It's that simple. But you don't treat everybody like some armed maniac for your safety. I get so frustrated at them changing or trying to take words out of the English language to be politically correct. The word we need to take out or work on is safety. That's the word. Because that's the word that they keep throwing at us every time they want to do something that goes against human rights. It's for your safety. Yeah. But anyway, I wasn't there. I don't know what transpired. The guy could have been waving a gun for all I know. But I don't know. This is crazy. So anyway, let me show this one first. I'm probably not going to get through everything again tonight. That's okay. I could always have I've got a couple links for prepping, and I could always show, or I could always do like a prepping show if need be. But anyway, this was, by the way, I guess I'll read it. Disturbing Facebook video shows police manhandling 13-year-old autistic boy. Before I show the video, I'll read like the first paragraph or whatever. Of the statement. After quite a bit of time, because the situation had escalated to the point that it had, and the refusal of staff to leave the room so that I could calm Kevin down myself, and their continual interjections that he had to leave, it became apparent to me that I was not going to be able to remove Kevin myself, nor would he just walk out. And I asked that EMS be called in hopes that it would be handled more from a medical standpoint. The first to arrive were 2 young men from the fire department who were very nice and likely could have succeeded in getting Kevin to agree to leave if staff would have removed themselves from the room or at least stopped stating that Kevin had to leave. Shortly after that, the police came in, and that was it. A scared, angry, frustrated, panic-stricken, yet seemingly in control, very big for his age, 13-year-old turned into a caged animal and was treated to some extent by 1 or 2 of the officers as such. Now, I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to tell you a little bit of something that happened in my personal life and history. My ex, when she was she had just given birth to our older boy, the oldest boy we have together. I have 3 boys. My oldest one is from a different mom. But anyway, So she had an anxiety attack, a panic attack, while she was in the, I forget the room you call it, after she had the baby. And so what was the hospital's response? The room filled up in seconds with staff. That's how they dealt with somebody dealing with an anxiety attack. They filled the room up full of people. That is the last thing you do. Now, take it from somebody who suffers from anxiety, terrible amounts of anxiety. You do not fill the room up full of people if you're trying to help somebody that's distraught, whether it's angry, anxiety, whatever it is. You do not fill the room up full of people. That's a mistake. That staff should have been out of there. It should have been left to those that the boy was most familiar with. I don't know who that is. Oh, that was his mother. Yeah, I mean, it should have been, they should have given the mother some time alone with her son to deal with the situation. But no, everybody knows the better thing to do, even though they really have no basis to know that. It's amazing. Anyway, you tell me. I mean, it's just frustrating. It's frustrating for me to see.
You fucking bitch! Stop it! Ow, you! Ow! 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 No, you can't stop me from doing that.
We are human beings, and I highly suggest these people start treating us as such. God lives through us. God is going to come out of us. You watch. That's what I'm saying. And I feel sorry for the good officers out there, because there's a lot of good officers that's going to be caught right in the middle, because they're just trying to do their job the right way. Well, I guess that's subjective too. The civil way. Oh, it's absurd. It's absurd. It just seems society lost all human value. And the best way to get it back is turn that TV off. I'm telling you. Turn it off and leave it off. And that alone ain't going to do it. Thinking, praying. I spend a lot of time doing that. A lot of time doing that. Anyway, let me play a video, and then it might be the last thing we do, and then, wow, I can't believe I've been this much news. Well, and I've been spending some extra time on some stuff, but highly questionable roadside safety check. Looks like a scene from military boot camp. And I wanted to play this. It's like 7 minutes, and I know I hate filling the news show up with playing videos, but people need to be aware of what's going on and how people are treated. And I know it's a 7-minute video, but come to think about it, over half of it's nonsense. So I'll fast forward it to the important part.
Before we continue, I'm just like. Evening, officer. Before we continue, I'd just like to let you know that you are being recorded right now.
Okay, that's fine.
So I would just like to know why I'm being pulled over.
We're doing a roadside safety check.
Okay.
Okay.
Am I being detained?
What's that?
Am I being detained?
Well, right now we're just conducting our job, making sure
Okay.
that everyone's on the road. But
Okay. Is that
yes, you can. You are not free to leave.
so far? Everybody's being.
So now, he's not being detained, but he's not free to leave. We need, I wished I knew somebody that could instruct me as to the legality of that particular situation. You're not being detained, but you're not free to leave. So then what is he? It's interesting.
Safe. So am I being detained then?
You're not free to leave.
Am I being detained? If I'm not free to leave, then you're suspecting me of committing a crime. Then am I being detained?
Making sure that everybody's driving safely.
Oh, I understand. Thank you for.
Now, I've explained
for
myself.
Absolutely.
Okay. And we do have the legal right to stop you right now.
Oh, I
So
believe this is unconstitutional, but
now, like I said, I've asked you for your driver's license.
you actually didn't ask me for my driver's license, but I'm actually not obligated to provide that if I'm not being detained.
What did you want?
Whoa! Obligated. Get out now.
Whoa!
Get out now. Driving to privilege,
Sir.
not a right. I'm telling you to get out right now.
Excuse me, I'm not.
We asked for your license and insurance. Yes, you are resisting
I
at
can
this
provide.
point.
No, sir, I
And
can
give us your
provide it.
license and insurance,
Absolutely.
like he was asked.
Absolutely, sir. This is my license here.
Okay, now get your insurance. That's
Okay.
required by law.
All right.
Driving to privilege, not a right.
Absolutely, sir. I completely.
We're not going to
agree.
sit here and debate with you.
Okay, well, this is very unconstitutional. What you're doing.
No, you know what?
And
It's not unconstitutional. I already explained it to you. Driving
Sir.
to privilege is not a right.
understood. This is my driver's
Good.
license. My
Thank
insurance
you.
card. You're welcome.
That's what you're required to do to drive in Illinois.
I would-
You don't understand that?
Absolutely.
Do you understand
I would
that?
also like to inform you that you are being recorded right now.
Good.
Okay. Can I please
You were
shut my
asked.
door?
No.
Since I'm not being detained.
No.
What am I being detained for exactly, sir? If I am
We
being
asked for your
detained.
driver's license and insurance card, which you're required to have when you drive in the state of Illinois.
Understood.
Correct?
Correct. That is correct.
That's
and
what you
I
were
do,
asked
and
for.
I do have that. Correct. I don't
I don't know. I'm looking at it. You refused to
I
provide
did
it
not
originally,
refuse.
didn't you?
Absolutely not. I did not refuse anything.
Is this
I
your
said-
current address?
I asked. I would not like
Is
to
this
answer
your
any-
current address?
I'd like to remain silent, sir, unless I have an attorney present.
Is this your current address?
I would like to remain silent, sir. I would like to exercise my Fifth Amendment right.
You have a more current insurance card.
I would like to exercise my Fifth Amendment right. Everything there is completely valid and legal, and I'd like to exercise my Fifth Amendment right from here on out. Unless I
I'm
have
sorry,
an
what
attorney.
was that?
I would like to exercise my Fifth Amendment right from here on out,
What
unless
does
I have
the
an attorney.
amendment say?
That I have the right to remain silent.
Really? Are you
Absolutely.
sure?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Am I free to leave?
Proceed on. Yes, sir,
Thank you.
are.
You guys have a great night.
Unfortunately, it's what we're seeing. It's not going to stop on its own. It's not. This is conditioning. They did the same thing in Nazi Germany. The same thing. You don't have to believe me. Look it up. Look it up. And stop rooting for the football teams and the baseball teams and the TV shows, and because you're not going to have any of that. Don't you understand? Look right here. Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals sides rules against the American flag. On Wednesday, America celebrated Constitution Day. It was also the day that a ruling came out of the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals regarding a case out of California where the principal at Live Oak High School made 4 students remove their American flag t-shirts, which they wore on May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, because the principal said students of the Mexican heritage might view the shirts as offensive. The principal, Miguel Rodriguez, said he was concerned the American flag shirts would be seen as incendiary and lead to violence. It should be noted that other students were wearing Mexican flag shirts and flying Mexican flags at this American high school. The Daily Caller reports in the court's ruling, our role is not to second guess the decision to have a Cinco de Mayo celebration or the precautions put in place to avoid violence. The court modestly observed here both the specific events of May 5th, 2010 and the pattern of which those events were made made it reasonable for school officials to proceed as though the threat of potentially violent disturbance was real. Consequently, the court proclaimed Rodriguez acted constitutionally when he told his students to turn their American flag shirts inside out or hit the road with an excused absence because he was trying to prevent potential violence. What country is this? Seriously. And I understand I'm asking people to stop rooting for these ball teams and TV shows, and this is our country, that is our flag. There should not be a single place in this nation to where that flag is not allowed to be flown to fly, or allowed to fly. In fact, it should be a crime if you try to prevent somebody from flying that flag anywhere at any time. And you don't think your rights are going to be taken. You don't think you're going to lose all the fun TV shows and all the toys, and really, this is how they do it. This is how they do it. It's a series of what I call temperature checks. And it's, you know, the checks that they're getting back is giving them the go-ahead just to take more and more and more freedoms and rights, and we're giving it to them. We are literally just handing it over to them. It's crazy. Okay, well, I didn't cover everything I had, but that's what I got for you tonight. I'll get the rest tomorrow night yet. Might wind up doing like half the show tomorrow night on prepping. That don't sound like a bad half bad idea. Okay, that sounds good. I was thinking I got some other things too that I'll probably throw in tomorrow night, some other news and stuff, so that I associate with prepping and survival. So with that, that's what I got for you. God bless you. May He walk with you, be one with your spirit. I love you all. Hang in there. It's going to be a bumpy ride, a very, very bumpy ride. Hang in there. I'll see you tomorrow night. Rest well.